All right, guys, so I'm back, clean shaved. Yesterday I made a video on how to make a centerpiece, and there were all these flowers that I found out on my walk yesterday. So today I'm going to show you how to make what they call wearables. So this is really popular more for the ladies. I'm gonna do something for the guys. Most guys probably don't wear this too much, but you know, it's kind of cool. So it's kind of more art than anything. But I took my chicken wire again. I made this kind of like really funky shape. And I think you can see it's kind of like almost like a candy cane shape. It's got a little bit of an edge. And it will sit right on me like this. So the flowers are going to cover this and go all the way down. So it's like very artsy, you know, just something kind of a fun project. Plus the flowers from the centerpiece, you know, I'm going to make something else. So I think it would be fun to take these, since I already have them, and redo something and do another one. I have my pruners. I might try some wire, and you may hear my dogs. And then I have some corsage glue. So, and this is floral adhesive, so you have an idea. I may use some of this. I'm not really sure yet. I've not really done much of this. I've done like flower cups and things like that. I'm thinking I'm going to make like a really cool bracelet, but I just want to start with this and see how it goes. So I'm going to kind of lay it flat more than anything for now, because you can bend this, which is super cool. And I had some leftover pieces. I did find out this is called Witch's Hazel by a good friend of mine. One of our designers, Carol, actually sent me a message later and let me know what that was, so which was super cool, because I had a couple people that asked. So I'm going to start with this. I have a couple of these pieces left over. I'm going to start with those. So I kind of created, again, like a little bit of a cage, which is cool because you can kind of bend these extra pieces when you're cutting this chicken wire to hold it in place, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to start with that. I just think these are like super cool looking. And you're going to pretty much see most of the flowers that I used on the last video with the centerpiece, because I'm just going to reuse all of it. And we're just going to kind of create something. I kind of have a vision of what I'm thinking, but I'm just kind of having fun with this. And again, same thing, go out, get some flowers. You can use leaves for this, I think, which is super cool. So what I'm doing is just kind of slowly going up my cage here, and then I'm just kind of flipping the wire. So I haven't even had to use any of the wire or any of this adhesive yet, which is kind of cool. I may have to use it down the road. But you want to make sure that your stems are not like sticking out of your shape. So that's where I want to bend these. And then that they're nice and secure in there. Because, you know, if you are actually going to wear this somewhere, you want it to stay together and it's not falling apart. So the adhesive might be good. But again, we're just doing this kind of some, you know, more for fun than anything. So, so I'm just kind of bending the wire to hold it in place. And you can pre-cut some of this stuff. Again, you know, I'm not sure exactly how much this stuff will last, but at least we can use it, which is cool. So, and I might combine a couple pieces together. So I just loved the texture of this. I thought it was super cool. So I'm just gonna wrap these around on here. And then I'm gonna take a couple more and go up a little bit higher. And again, I'm just wrapping. So like when I cut the chicken wire, it's kind of in that grid. You'll have like some, you know, sharp pieces that will be sticking out. So you want to make sure that you know, if you're not using them, bend them in. But I'm actually kind of using them for part of making my structure here, which is cool. And then to make these a little bit bigger, because some of them were really small, I just clustered them together. And I'm just wrapping them around this, which is cool. Okay, so I'm starting to kind of have this little bit of flow, which is kind of fun. I might not do too much on the back for now. I just want to make sure I have enough flowers for everything. We'll see, but it looks like I should be good to go. I'm just going to grab a couple more. So I am using from that centerpiece I made pretty much everything on it, which is cool. So I didn't actually even have to go out. I didn't have to get anything. So if you're just kind of like, oh, I want to keep getting creative, here's another way to reuse those flowers from yesterday. So I am going to hit the back. I might as well as finish it. And go here. So I went all the way pretty much to the end. So now you can kind of see, you're starting to see it now, which is super cool. But these are all pretty sturdy, pretty in place. And, you know, I'm going to layer flowers onto this, which would be kind of cool. So So I think next what I'm going to do is actually use the forsythia, which were these guys. Again, I love the length on them. I think are super cool. So I'm actually going to shove this in and kind of weave it through my cage. I probably will use a little bit of floral adhesive here because I want it to stay. And what's cool about this, again, is that you can totally bend your chicken wire to hold that, which is great. So always have a little bit of paper towel. If you're using this, you can see it already sort of oozes out. It's a little messy, but I don't even push on the tube. I kind of just let it come out at first, and then I just throw a little bit on there. So I'm gonna cut my longer pieces first here, and I'm gonna add these into my little cage here. So, and a couple pieces might come off, but that's okay. So again, throw a little bit of this on there, make sure that I have it so it doesn't drip on my counter. So I'm just gonna go again all the way up. I might just start adding a little bit of the glue to it, so then when I get it in place, it's already got the glue on it as long as it's touching something. So again, you're gonna wanna weave it up the cage, which is cool. So we'll just go along with that, and I'm gonna take some pieces that aren't gonna be super long, and I'm going to just fill those in here. So you can see how it's already started to look really pretty. And once I add some of the fuller flowers, it's gonna look really, really, really cool. So I'm gonna kind of keep going with that. And again, like I really think, I don't have a lot of like foliage as far as like greenery or anything that we used, but that would really fill this in pretty quickly, especially if you're using leaves. That would be the best way to really fill this in quickly without having to go out and get a lot of flowers. So if you don't have a big garden, but you have a lot of like cool foliage, trees, bushes, shrubs of that sort, you know, that would be really, really cool. So again, I'm just kind of filling this off, which is super, it's actually pretty cool. Okay, let me grab a couple more pieces here. And these ones I'm actually, so like if you have, you know, longer stems, I just cut this in half a couple times. So that's probably the perfect way to really like, you know, get this going a little bit quicker, is cutting those longer pieces just in half. So, and you don't want to like get too far away from your shape so that it keeps that cool kind of spirally looking deal, which is kind of fun. So I'm going back around the back again. And then I just want to get like a nice cool end piece like this. And then I'm just adding a little bit of that glue. And again, I'm barely pushing on the tube and it's coming out, which is really cool. And you know, I'm barely doing anything, which is nice. And still using some of the wire to kind of hold it in place. So I'm not gonna put it on me yet because the glue is probably a little bit, but like, look how cool this is. I mean, how fun is that? So, and I've never made any of these. I see a lot of really cool florists that are doing this. And I honestly, I will admit, I can make the time, I just haven't had the time to kind of do something fun like this, and especially when we've been so busy with events, but I've been wanting to try it out, so I'm excited to do this. So I'm gonna take, remember our peonies yesterday? So these are kind of, again, those long linear pieces, and they're fuller too, which is really cool, so you can actually like break this up. So I'm gonna like take these little guys, and I'll probably end up clustering these. So I'm gonna pull out all of those, and then I'm just gonna take the little guys off because I actually might put those all together because we don't need the stems to be super long. So, so I'm breaking this all apart. And again, I just loved the texture of this. Again, I would rather not pull out the peonies until they're actually bloomed, but it looks cool. So, so we're just gonna start with that. So I'm gonna cut them kind of the same. I'm gonna add a little floral adhesive together, so this will keep them together, which is cool. And then I'm gonna find just like a nice little spot in here that I can kind of weave it into my cage. And you can now that you have enough stems in here, you can actually start using like the other stems of the flowers as well. So the stems of these other flowers that are in here, like the forsythia, is also creating that cage effect because we're sliding those into the chicken wire, and now you can use it to kind of like bounce it off a little bit and have them stick in there a little bit better like that. So all right. So and I'll try and get some good pictures of this. I'm actually gonna have to wear it, so not sure. Maybe I'll make Brandon take some pictures of me wearing this. We'll see. Maybe I can do a little timer or something. So anyway, I can do, and I'm just kind of shoving that one in there. So I didn't really put this one too much in there, but like it's holding up really good. That floral adhesive is great. We use this a lot for corsages and boutonnieres and things like that. So it's really helpful when you need something to stay together, and it gets on your hands a little bit. So stuff might stick on it or however, but you should be okay. You can wash it off. Part of being a florist is your hands are always messy. So I don't know how the ladies keep their nails and all that looking good. So maybe I need to go get a manicure or something a little bit more often than I really do, which is not often at all. So again, so I'm just taking my final pieces of the peony stems and adding that adhesive to it. So I'm gonna kind of look out now. So I wanna look for spots where it's starting to look like empty, or places that we haven't covered yet, and then that's where I'm gonna stick the rest of these. Once you have those extra pieces, you just kind of wanna fill in at that point. So that's kind of how it's looking, which is so fun. I might add some forsythia, like I like this one shooting out. I have tons of it here, so I may add a couple of those. But I kind of want to show you with the daffodils. So these are so beautiful from yesterday. So I'm just cutting them kind of short again. And these I'm definitely going to add a little bit of that adhesive. And these I'm just going to kind of weave right up in there. Right into the cage. I'm going to use some of the other stems to kind of help hold this together. So yeah, and then let's see here, I can bend this one. There you go. So you can kind of start to see how they kind of just float every so often on here, which is kind of cool. And I might concentrate more at the top just to give it a little something. I'm trying to be really, fragile with the shape of this itself. It's chicken wire, so it's pretty sturdy, but obviously these blooms, can fall apart and whatnot. So that's something that you just kind of want to think about as you're doing this. So so some of these that I'm going to put up high, I'm probably going to do a little bit shorter. I'm going to tuck that guy right there. And then, and you might just want to take off those dried pieces of leaves. And put that there. So pretty. And so, yeah, I'm concentrating on the top now. So this will probably be like right at my shoulder, which would be, it's going to be, that'll be really cool. And then we'll kind of fade out with them as we go down the front and the back. So I'm trying to like weave it in there. You want to make sure that you're hitting some. So see how it's a little more concentrated. If I have it hanging, how fun. It's really, really pretty. And it's actually holding up really good. So you can see it's more concentrated again in the middle, and then I'm going to have some come down the back, which is cool. It's kind of got a little bit of a tropical vibe. Yesterday I felt like with the arrangement that we made, it was a little more kind of fall looking. So, but this one is looking a little more tropical, and I don't know if it's because of these daffodils, because they definitely don't look tropical, but maybe it's just the colors. So I got those on there. So I kind of decided after doing this, I'm probably not going to use my wire too much, but I wasn't sure. I feel like with the wire, I'd have to be cutting small pieces to wrap around the flowers and then tie it to the cage, you know, and that's some time, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. We got more time than we need right now, but I just think, as you know, if you wanted to make this for somebody or for something, you know, using the glue is probably the quickest way to go. So I'm going to use all the daffodils. I just think this, it's going to take up a lot of space, which is cool. And, you know, keep that nice and full, and they're just really, really pretty. So I'm going to quick cut all of these. So then I just have the stems. As far as that goes. Okay, so. So see how cool this is looking already. I'm gonna add a little more red. I feel like it's just more that ivory and the yellow going on, but it's really cool. And like, you can't really see the chicken wire too much, and it's not even all the way full, which is good because, you know, the less that you have to fill, the better. So you don't have to cut too much, you know, when you go out. But the reason why I did it this way too is because you know, you want to use these longer stems for centerpieces and stuff that's got to be in water. Like, obviously this probably won't last too long, but you know, it'll be fun to put on, take some cool pictures, you know, start your portfolio if that's what you want to do. So yeah. And then, all right, this is my last daffodil. And then I'm going to pull out some other stuff on there. So look how pretty this is. So cool. So I'm going to just final touch this last one in there. And again, you want to make sure that they're touching something so that they stick, especially with that floral adhesive. So I see little stems here, kind of like yesterday when I missed the pot, but that's what happens sometimes, so it's all good. Just want to make sure you catch it before it goes out or before you have to put it somewhere. So, and some of it might come undone, of course. This is the stuff that I didn't use with the glue, so that's kind of a lesson learned there, where I think I'll just throw a little glue on it. It should be good to go. So yeah, fun, so pretty. I'm kind of excited to put it on my on my shoulder. So, all right, let me clear a little bit of this so you guys can kind of have a better clean slate here. Okay, so I found a little bit more after pulling out these flowers from my arrangement. I found a couple more of this red that we obviously loved, the witch hazel. Thank you, Carol. And I'm going to cut a bunch of that because I want to add it to this. So, and again, I'm still weaving the stems into the cage. Like, even though there's a lot filled in here, you definitely want to make sure that you're still weaving that, because that's what's going to hold it together. I love this. Look at this big, beautiful one. It's so funny how, like, just these random little things. I always joke around at work because, like, just the simplest things get me sometimes, that I'm just like, look how cool this is. So, especially flowers and plants, they're just so beautiful. So many types and whatnot. So, okay, so I have, if we remember yesterday, I'm gonna try and use some of this. I don't know how well this will do. Obviously this was that dried cedar. I'm gonna try and use some of it because I loved the color of this. It's got this rusty kind of look, but definitely the pieces are going to fall off a little bit. but I think we can probably tuck a couple in here, and this might look really, really cool. So then you just have that left over. Let's see if I can get one more out of here. There we go. And this one's kind of easy. You can just literally cut them, which makes that really simple. And now I have a bunch that I can fill throughout the whole thing. And then this, again, you're gonna wanna be pretty gentle with this. You don't probably have to do too much weaving as long as, you know, it's in there between something, but the glue will hold it pretty well. You might wanna hold it for a second or so, or lay it down so that it's not moving. So I'm gonna try and add a few pieces into this. So I'm kind of just tucking it in between, whether it's the cage or if it's another flower. I'm just kind of slowly sticking it in there and then making sure. And I kind of like it shooting out a little bit, gives it a little bit of dimension, which is super cool. You know, it makes it super fun. Yeah, cool. I'm loving it. It's actually staying a little bit better than I thought. So again, just make sure you're adding that adhesive to all of these, and then just tucking it a little bit. And what's cool is even when you know, are doing the adhesive to everything, once they touch each other too, like as far as the stems with a little bit of this glue on it, they kind of like interlock and just stay together really good. It's a great product, so I love using this, especially for tedious projects like this. Kind of what I was saying with like your corsages and boutonnieres and whatnot. This is, to me, what I like to use as far as that goes. We even wear some of that too a little bit, just to give it that extra, especially for like boutonnieres and corsages, because when you're hugging and whatnot, it can come apart. But if there is wire and the glue, usually you got a pretty good chance that it'll stay really nicely. All right, I'm gonna grab, so here, let's look at it. So cool. You can kind of see the mechanics on the back, so you can see the wire that I'm using, but like if you look from the front, you barely can see any of it, and it'll kind of sit right on there. So it's kind of like a sash, a little wearable sash, I guess, a floral sash. So it could be for like somebody that wins the prom or something, instead of just one of those plastic looking things. We could do a fresh floral one, which actually would be really pretty. I'm sure there's probably a little bit more of a comfortable way to do it than a chicken wire, but for now, that'll be mine. Okay, so I'm just cutting up some more of the forsythia. Just the color is so awesome, so we might as well take advantage of it. And then I'm just making sure I have, again, a little stem on it, you know, as far as that goes. So here's a bunch of pieces, and then I can add my glue. Oh, and by the way, I set up a YouTube channel, which obviously this is odd, but we just uploaded some videos today of some other work that we did. So check us out. Most of them say with TBFLORAL on it. So you can see we've done like a place card wall. We've done some like garden arches covered in flowers, and I've done some other like centerpieces. A lot of it was from events that we've done, but it was just kind of something fun. And I've had a lot of people ask me to do classes, and it's really hard during wedding season and whatnot. But I'm happy to be able to have the time right now. So I figured I might as well get some videos going here and get this on the go. So, all right, I'm loving this. Even these tucks of forsythia shooting out, I think is giving it a lot of really cool dimension. I'm probably going to use these end caps, like where they're growing. I may have that shoot out a little bit inside of here, which I think it would be really cool. When you get into these natural arrangements, to me, you know, you kind of want it to look like it's growing, and you want to make sure you kind of eyeball it and look at it and decide where, you know, some things aren't perfect. So you can make it however, which I think is really fun. So looks like one of these didn't have enough glue. So let's pop that bad boy on here. So let's see, where should we put this? I think I'm gonna go way, we'll do it here. And I'm kind of, again, this one, since it came out, I'm trying to weave it in a little bit better, so then that way it stays. So, all right, let's see. I'm going to grab a couple more. This forsythia is just amazing. So, and then I actually have some of this witch hazel. The more I'm pulling out of this arrangement, the more I find, which is great. So, like, look at this long, nice piece also. Some of these other ones I'm gonna leave long, give a little dimension to our little sash here. See what we end up with at the end. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna kind of hold it a little bit more because I was filling in kind of just wherever, but I really wanna see where I need to fill in. So the back of this is looking really good. It's nice and full. Stuff is coming out on both sides, but it looks like maybe right here on this side, I should probably add this guy because this would fill in really nicely with some red or the burgundy. So, and I want to make sure this piece is a little bit more heavier, so I want to make sure I'm adding enough glue. And you also want to make sure that you are, obviously you probably just saw, I'm running it across the stems just to kind of fill in a little bit and making sure that the whole stem's covered with this glue. And there, look how cool that is. And it looks like I need a couple other pieces over here. You know, if you had something to prop it up on, I probably should have figured that out before I did this, but you could have it propped up. Probably at work, I would have either used some kind of box or a stand that we had that I could wire it to. Obviously, I'm at home, and I don't want any glue on any of my stuff, so I'm not using anything at this point, but I may look for something a little bit easier to work on here to make it easier so you're not picking it up and down. That's one of the biggest things. So especially when you're trying to put glue on all of this. So, all right, let's finish up these last pieces. I'm gonna let it dry. And then I'm gonna wear my sash for my quarantine, making it through these crazy days. So I think I'm gonna kind of let that one go in there a little bit. The daffodils are just killing me. They're so beautiful. So I'm gonna take this last piece, and of course I wanna like probably put it, let's go right here. I think that'll be prettier there. So I'm gonna lay this down. And then sometimes this glue gets a little crazy, but that's why I leave that paper towel out, because you know it's gonna get everywhere. Cool. All right. So I'm gonna let it dry for a minute, and then I'm gonna put this bad boy on. I'm gonna see what it looks like. I haven't put too much glue up here, so I might try and see if I can put it on. All right. There we go. Look how cool this looks. So I will take some cool pictures of it. Obviously, you know, I probably won't be walking around with this too often. Maybe I'll walk down the hallway here or something, but I'll take some really cool pictures of it. And it's just kind of something fun. I mean, you know, when we talk about these wearables, there's necklaces I've seen, earrings. I might do some cool stuff. I wear a lot of bracelets. I don't have any on today, but I like wearing those. So I may make one out of chicken wire and do a full glue on that as well. I might try some different flowers and do something really fun, but I just think this looks kind of cool. It's got kind of still that curved shape, so it kind of goes across. I mean, we could have actually made this a full sash, which is kind of cool. So I'll get some good pictures. Obviously, if you have any questions, give us feedback. If you make one of these, tag TBFLORAL on Instagram so I can see what you're doing. Again, it was just a little bit of adhesive, some chicken wire, and then all this stuff that I found outside. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I can't wait to see what you do.